Good morning. It's Monday morning. We get started on this little project here. Check this out. The spring is actually separated from the bushing. I'm not sure what caused that, but I see that the shock mount or shock linkage is bent. So this truck was probably in some kind of wreck, or maybe they just pulled on the axle to get it out of the garage and it bent that. Who knows? But, and then, you know, I've showed you the drums before that they cut them because the brakes are probably frozen. So I was actually able to find a donor vehicle. So 2 weeks ago, I was at a car show, the Barnum Festival car show, and I met a guy named Ron, and he had a nice 48 Chevy hot rod pickup, but he said he had a rolling chassis and he needed to get rid of. So I gave him a call, and he had this sitting out in the field of his farm, and for a couple $100 and an extra 50, he delivered it to my house. And it's got not only a nice set of springs with the bushings, but good brake drums and new brake lines, newer brake lines. In fact, the plumbing on this frame looks pretty good. I might steal it if I don't replumb my own. But I broke this all loose last night. I'm going to roll this into the garage and try to do a little swap-a-roo, and hopefully do that on video. So before I begin the swap, I got to clean out a few things, make myself some room. But I want to mention, I picked this up over the weekend from Facebook Marketplace. $75 for this nice lift or hoist. And the guy was going to toss in a motor stand, but I didn't need one. I didn't think. I probably should have grabbed it, and I could have taken that motor out and flipped it over and tried to get it loose. So hindsight being what it is. But and then I picked up this at Harbor Freight. I'm going to unbox that later, give that a try, and I'm going to clean up a little, and then we'll get started. All right, before I get started, anybody knows me, I like to keep my shop floor clean. So I'm just going to clean up this little mess here. This stuff I got at the dollar store called Totally Awesome Stuff is totally awesome. Works really well. I'll clean my floor up here. We swept it and put down a piece of cardboard. And of course, yesterday was recycling day, so to find cardboard, I had to dig deep in the basement and find an empty box, and I'm going to cut it up and throw it under there. Found some engine degreaser in the basement. Let's see how this stuff works. See what happens. Put this outside with a hose of some sort, but you know, give it a try. You got to lose. Hear things just falling right off. That's awesome. While that's doing that, maybe I'll go to the other side and try to loosen up the bushings for the springs. Okay, here we are. I threw a piece of cardboard under there, and I sprayed degreaser or engine cleaner all over that steering box because the pile of grease on there hardened and was probably 75 years old. There's the pile now that I scraped off using the paint scraper. I still probably got to get in there with a screwdriver and get some more detail out of there. But before I do that, I'm going to now drop this spring while that's soaking in because I resprayed it. So I'm going to take that bushing off and up front there, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, let me go for this front bushing first. I've already taken the passenger side off. It didn't fight me too hard, but it was a little bit of a struggle, but I got it. Start with these Zerk fittings. This one's broken clean off. Take that right off. And then this one here, covered with grease. I did spray the heck out of everything here with PB Blast to loose, you know, make sure the rust is broken. But we'll see how it goes. And surprisingly, these brackets are held in by one carriage bolt. I want to show you this. This is the carriage bolt from the other one. Something bent that, huh? Look at that. So this truck was probably whacked at some point in time up front. There's a nut on the back side of this carriage bolt. Actually, it's pretty loose, coming right off. You can probably see the back side of the carriage bolt shaking as I take this off. There it goes. You should probably put a jack under here to support this thing because it's probably going to drop when I loosen it out. But yeah, that carriage bolt came out, no problem. Put it right there. Or let it drop. That one's got a little bend to it too. So probably a trip somewhere to get new ones, or maybe I got to buy them from online. Who knows? Let's see. Get the pry. This is my Harbor Freight pry bar. Ta-da! Look at that. Came right off. That's the easiest one so far. That thing's broken though. I don't think I'm going to replace these bushings. I think I'm just going to throw the other springs back on. And then, look at that. Who knows what I'm going to do. That one's coming loose, but not coming off. Maybe a little more persuasion. Nope. Pry that this way, not that way. Oh, I put it right back on the. Actually, there, done. That'll drop. So that one's all set. And what I'll do now is reset this camera and go to the back. All right, I thought about this and I said before I take that last spring out and it drops and everything's to be held up on the, so before I pop this bolt, I really should take the pitman arm or steering arm off. And I think that's a cotter pin, and I gotta unscrew like a big slotted screw out, or a cup or a retainer or something out of there. So I'm gonna take a shot at that next. So first things first is the cotter pin. Of course, this is my worst set of pliers for this type of work. Probably should get a bigger pair. Maybe the channel locks. Let me go grab those. Oh, the vice grips are right next door on the other side of the truck, so I'll try these and get a grip on them. There it is. Straighten that sucker out. Pull on it from this side. Anybody half a brain would just cut the cotter pin and call it a day. But, oh, look at that. There's a whole other side to the cotter pin. That ain't coming out just yet. So I'll bend that down. Yeah. Just get the cutters out and cut these things. Save myself some time. But this is what you go through if you don't want to go get more tools. Just keep fighting. Keep squeezing. Keep pulling. Of course, I'm going to have to go to the toolbox anyways to get the big screwdriver after I get this cotter pin out. More tools. I was going to use my Harbor Freight diagonal cutters, but I'm going to use my Tag Sale electrician's lineman pliers. Cut these. There we go. Ta-da! Pull that right out. Of course, I forgot to get the screwdriver while I was over there. And I can't see because there's not enough light. So this is my biggest screwdriver. Let's see what happens. Oh, it actually felt like it turned for a second, but not really. Try this. Let's see if I can pull this off without ruining it. I'm probably bending the thing. You know what? Blast a little more PB blast in there. And we'll come back in a bit and see how it goes. Okay, I'm back. I just took a coffee break and watched a YouTube video. And what I'm doing is I'm cleaning out these threads. I got this thing to turn a little, but it was not threading out. And I'm not sure why, or why it's jamming. Probably because there's all sorts of dirt in these threads. But I got the screwdriver. I'm about to hit the camera with it. You can see that, I don't know if you can see it because the light's not that good, but it turns about 1/8 of a turn each direction, and then it just stops. So before I force it, I'm going to move the camera back so it doesn't get knocked over, and we'll see how it goes. So I sprayed the heck out of it. I chased the threads with the pick, and I think I finally got it where it's starting to back out. I still got to put quite a bit of torque on it. There it goes. Well, there it went, and then it seems to jam up again, but hopefully I can get this out, get that steering piece off. There we go. A couple more of these. There's Missy barking in the background. I'm going to shut this off and I'll come back when it's out. Okay, so I got this all the way out. Great, no problem. Of course, it still doesn't separate. There's a ball in here. There's some kind of retainer holding that ball. I think I saw a video where they put this tie rod separator between there and then hammer the heck out of it. Maybe we get a big hammer and give that a whack and see what happens. So I got my biggest Harbor Freight ball peen hammer. Ta-da! That's awesome. It worked. Best tool in the box, I guess. Well, it is today. All right. I stripped everything off. I skipped over, you know, where I popped out some cotter pins and got the shock towers or the shock mounts off. This is the donor chassis. I wheeled this under. I had to move the jack stand, so I supported the cross member with the my new Pittsburgh jack, and then held that up and got that in there. And now I'm going to wheel it back all the way and pin it. So the first problem I run into is that my bump stop is a little too high, and then my jack stands are just about maxed out, so I don't want to raise the whole truck up any higher. So what I'm going to do is just take the tires off, put the axle on a dolly and wheel it back and work from there. So let me just pop these wheels off real quick and I'll get back. Okay, so I got the donor axle and springs in. I got the back spring in. It's just a matter of working it in at the same time doing the other side. You see my little jack is there. I kind of pushed up on it and give it a little tap. It all went in, fell into place. Now what I'm getting ready to do is get the jack under, and then I'll rotate these front spring supports up and put them back in place. You can see that bent carriage bolt. I'm going to use a straight carriage bolt from the donor truck, and that'll be that. Okay, I've just wrapped it up now. I got the front spring connected on both sides. You see the shock tower's got to get connected, or the shock arm has got to get connected to the linkage. Check this out. This is me pushing down on the shock absorber. Actually, no resistance whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is hit them with a little PB blast. Probably check the oil in both shocks later today, or maybe tomorrow. Had enough for today. And you see the springs connected over here. Grease fittings are back on. I'll probably grease that up. I gotta connect the brake lines, but there's no reason to doing that now until I do a brake job and replumb the entire rolling chassis when I get it out from under this truck. And that's it for today.